Hello, Fast Company Middle East. My name is Omar Samra. I'm an adventurer, entrepreneur, an analog astronaut, and this is how I got here. Growing up in Cairo, Egypt, I would describe myself as a dreamer, someone who had a lot of persistence, and someone who was never comfortable with the status quo. My inspiration early on was my mother. She was the one that shaped my career. In many ways, she was an entrepreneur, even though she worked in the nonprofit sector. I think she inspired me to be able to work for passion and not expecting a certain kind of return. And it was always amazing to see her. And I think it's the most inspiring things when parents lead by doing and you just follow what they do rather than telling you what to do. My first job out of university was in investment banking. It was a sort of a former life. Now I ended up, after several years, growing a little bit dissatisfied with it. I made the shift to follow my passion and dreams and started up my own company in the field of adventure travel, which then set me on a path to do so many things that I would never have imagined knowing where I am today. So from, climbing Mount Everest to climbing the 7 summits, skiing to both poles, and then starting so many other initiatives and ideas that was all born from this point where I decided to trust my gut, trust my instinct, and I guess not follow the path that had been sort of dictated to me as a youngster. I think my biggest accomplishments is not necessarily the summits that I've climbed or the places that I've reached, but what these experiences have allowed me in terms of understanding who I am and how I fit in the world and the challenges that the world faces. From skiing to the ends of the earth or climbing the highest mountains allowed me firsthand to see the impacts that are happening to our planet and getting really passionate about climate action. My journey to and capsizing and almost perishing in the Atlantic, trying to row across the Atlantic, allowed me to develop an understanding and appreciation for the plight of refugees and dedicating much of my time to that pursuit and raising awareness about this important issue. Equally, somebody growing up in this world today, I look at the world and I have a very strong feeling of justice, and I see a lot of inequality around us in the world, which then inspired me to be part of that mission and recently joined as a board member of Equality Now, which is a global organization that works on girls and women rights around the world. And I'm just very proud. I do a lot of different things, but I'm very proud to play a small part in changing those narratives, because they're all very important topics that I think can really shape and shift the course of humanity for years to come. I think through a journey like mine, it's so easy to feel a little bit pessimistic or sometimes a little bit down, because I've been through so many challenges and seen so many hardships through the path that I've taken. But I think sometimes hope comes from the most unlikely places. And I really discovered through my experience that even in darkness, there is light. And one of the experiences that I went through on a personal level that was most inspiring for me was actually one of my hardest moments. Almost 10 years ago, I lost my wife, and it was the most difficult experiences of my life. It broke me down, but I managed to build myself back up again. I think my daughter was a big inspiration for that, but also the work that I do, understanding that if I'm still around in this limited time that I have, I need to make her proud, I need to make my daughter proud, and I need to be able to use all of these experiences that are quite unique on this very non-traditional path that I've taken to influence the world in a positive way, but at the same time also remember to find joy and happiness in what I do and really appreciating the very simple things in life. I think one of the things that is really missing in our world today is love and compassion. And I think to be able to have the capacity to love and bring that into what you do, you have to be very inspired and passionate about what you do. And therefore you need to do the thing that you think makes the most sense. For some people, it might be making change to a large organization in the corporate world. For other people, it might be taking that risk, taking that leap of faith to be able to jump off the cliff. They say it's, for there, you really need your heart. So your brain and your analytical analysis of a situation will only take you as far as the cliff, but will not let you jump. So you have to believe in something. You have to believe in something bigger. And that's why they call it a leap of faith. You just have to take that risk. And so my invitation really is for people just to try and not overthink things. Analytical kind of, I think trying to look at a situation and try to analyze it can serve you to a certain extent, but ultimately you have to follow your heart in everything that you do, and understanding that the human brain is designed to protect you. And so it will always highlight all the negative and risks that can happen and that can overwhelm you. And sometimes we sort of underestimate the positive that come from a change because it's all in the unknown. So from my experience, what it's taught me is always to have faith and to follow my gut and just to take those big risks in life, because they do end up paying off. The journey to that success that you want for yourself is never linear. So if you look at it in a short period of time, it may look turbulent or even on a downward path. But if you look at your life from a helicopter vision, you can then kind of start to make sense of how much you've learned. And it's not about getting from point A to B, but it's about like what you've learned through that process and what you've been able to give back once you reach a point where you feel you have something to share with the world.